What if one controversial week in golf changed the future of an entire region forever? What if the loud cheers, hostile chants, and growing tension witnessed during one of golf's biggest championships became the reason officials started questioning whether some venues should ever host another major event again? That is exactly the debate that exploded across the sport after the dramatic conclusion of the 2026 U.S. Open Championship. What should have been remembered as a remarkable victory quickly transformed into a heated argument about fan behavior, sportsmanship, and the future of professional golf itself. The story began at one of the most historic courses in America, where thousands of spectators gathered to watch the world's best players battle for one of the game's most prestigious trophies. Entering the final round, the tournament leader held a commanding advantage. Experts believed the championship was nearly over. Television analysts discussed records, legacies, and celebrations before the first shot of the day was even struck. Everything pointed toward a comfortable victory. But as the final round unfolded, it became clear that many fans had a different script in mind. Instead of supporting the leader, large sections of the crowd openly rooted against him. Every mistake generated excitement. Every poor shot drew loud reactions. Every difficult moment seemed to energize spectators hoping to see the leader stumble. The atmosphere felt unlike a traditional major championship. It felt personal. Security officials were forced into action multiple times as certain fans crossed the line between passionate support and unacceptable behavior. Several spectators were removed from the course, yet the hostility continued throughout the afternoon. The situation became even more noticeable because the golfer playing alongside the leader was one of the most beloved figures in the sport. Every great shot he produced generated thunderous applause. Every birdie created waves of excitement across the property. Fans desperately wanted to witness history, and their enthusiasm for one player seemed to translate into frustration toward the other. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Yet despite the pressure, the tournament leader refused to collapse. He battled through the noise, ignored the negativity, and maintained control of the championship. When the final putt dropped, he had secured one of the most important victories of his career. But instead of celebrating the performance alone, golf fans immediately focused on the atmosphere surrounding it. During interviews afterward, the champion admitted he could feel the crowd wanted someone else to win. His comments instantly became national headlines. Sports networks replayed them. Social media exploded with debate. Some fans sympathized with the golfer, believing no competitor should face that kind of treatment during a major championship. Others argued that professional athletes must be prepared for difficult environments. Yet those discussions were only the beginning. The following day, a respected golf analyst delivered comments that ignited an even bigger controversy. Rather than criticizing individual spectators, he targeted the region itself. According to him, what happened during the championship was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger pattern stretching across multiple tournaments and several years. He argued that golf authorities should seriously consider whether major championships should continue returning to venues associated with repeated crowd issues. His remarks spread across the sports world within hours. Supporters praised his willingness to confront a growing problem. Critics accused him of unfairly blaming an entire community for the actions of a small minority. The golf world suddenly found itself divided. On one side were those who believed fan behavior had reached unacceptable levels. On the other were those who felt the criticism was exaggerated and unfair. As the debate intensified, attention shifted toward the player's own history. Over the previous year, he had been involved in several incidents that damaged his public image. There had been moments of visible frustration on the course, controversial reactions after disappointing performances, and headlines that fueled criticism from fans. While he repeatedly apologized and accepted responsibility for his mistakes, many spectators had not forgotten. Some observers believed those past incidents influenced how crowds reacted during the championship. The golfer himself later acknowledged that some hostility may have been connected to his own actions. Yet even that admission failed to settle the argument because many analysts insisted the issue went far beyond one individual. They pointed toward previous tournaments held in the same region where players had complained about heckling, distractions, and inappropriate conduct from spectators. They highlighted incidents involving confrontations, disruptive chants, and behavior rarely associated with golf's traditional culture. Slowly, the conversation evolved into something much larger. Was this simply a few isolated incidents receiving too much attention, or had a genuine pattern emerged? Supporters of stricter action believed the evidence was impossible to ignore. They argued that golf is different from most sports because silence and concentration are essential parts of competition. A shout during a swing can affect the outcome of a shot. A distraction at the wrong moment can influence an entire tournament. Because of that reality, they believed golf should enforce higher standards than other sports. Opponents disagreed. They argued that passionate fans create memorable moments and unique atmospheres. They pointed out that thousands of spectators attended these events without causing problems. Punishing an entire region because of a handful of individuals seemed unreasonable. For them, the solution involved targeting bad actors rather than blaming entire communities. As discussions continued, former players, analysts, journalists, and fans all weighed in. Some warned that golf risked losing its identity if spectator behavior continued deteriorating. Others argued that the sport needed to adapt to a changing world. Social media, viral content, and modern sports culture have transformed how fans interact with athletes. What once happened only online increasingly appears at live events. The line between entertainment and competition has become blurred. Many observers noted that golf might be particularly vulnerable because of its reliance on concentration and etiquette. The controversy also raised important questions about future championships. Could stricter security measures solve the problem? Should tournaments adopt tougher penalties for disruptive spectators? Would phone restrictions help preserve the atmosphere? Could organizers create better systems for identifying and removing individuals who cross the line? These questions quickly moved from media discussions into serious conversations among decision-makers. While no immediate changes were announced, it became clear that golf's leadership was paying attention. The debate had become too large to ignore. Every interview seemed to return to the same issue. Every television segment explored another angle. Every social media discussion generated thousands of comments. What began as crowd behavior during a single championship had evolved into a debate about the future of the sport itself. Beneath all the arguments was a deeper question. What kind of environment should professional golf create? Should tournaments embrace louder, more emotional crowds similar to other major sports? Or should golf fight to preserve the traditions that have defined it for generations? There are no easy answers. Fans want excitement. Players want fairness. Organizers want unforgettable events. Balancing those goals becomes increasingly difficult in an era where attention often rewards controversy. The championship winner ultimately lifted the trophy and secured his place in history, but the conversation that followed may prove even more significant than the victory itself. Years from now, people may remember the tournament not only for the golf that was played, but for the questions it forced the sport to confront. Questions about respect, questions about sportsmanship, questions about responsibility, and questions about whether certain venues have become symbols of a larger cultural shift affecting sports around the world. As officials, players, and fans continue debating the issue, one thing remains clear. The controversy is far from over. Future tournaments will be watched more closely than ever. Crowd behavior will face greater scrutiny. Every major event will become another test of where golf is heading. Whether the sport chooses stricter enforcement, cultural change, or a combination of both, the decisions made in the coming years could shape professional golf for an entire generation. What started as one dramatic Sunday afternoon has become one of the most important discussions in modern golf, and until meaningful answers emerge, the debate will continue echoing across fairways, clubhouses, television studios, and fan communities everywhere.